I am so excited to have you on the podcast, Rachel.
I'm super excited to be here. Thanks, Indira.
Yeah, this entire Behind the Team series has been so much fun. Just getting to know my own team members has been amazing. There's so much I didn't know. And so I would love for you to tell our audience a little bit about you, who you are, what part of the world you're in.
Sure. So my name is Rachel Silves, and I am the program and marketing coordinator here on Team KK. I actually live in the Pacific Northwest, so on the West Coast. So I'm representing our Pacific time zone folks. I live in like the very topmost corner by the Canadian border, so it's an interesting blend out here. But yeah, do you want me to go into all my background now, Indira, or
Yeah, well, before we get there, tell us about your role in the company.
Sure. So I was brought on to really help bring the client services to the next level. I am like the accountability wizard, taskmaster, and coach inside our signature program, the Incubator. And so I'm really in charge of like coordinating all the calls, making sure all the clients are supported, providing coaching around helping clients build their dream businesses, and basically being kind of an extension for Kate so that Kate and I can work together as a team to support our clients. I'm also responsible for writing a lot of the incubator emails and some of the marketing emails and all things program coordination in our signature program, the Incubator.
Oh, I love it. And so, can you tell us a little bit about your previous experience before working with Team KK?
Yeah, sure. So it's a bit of a can of worms story. So you can feel free to interrupt me if I'm going on too long. So I actually started my career as in the social service field, and I worked for a company helping individuals with disabilities find employment in the community. And I had a kind of a co-manager and a friend who was like, "Hey, I'm going to start my own business. Do you want to start the business with me?" And at the time, I was in my early 20s, and I was like, well, I've never thought about owning my own business before, but it feels like a good time to take a risk. And so that was like 15 years ago. And since then, I've like never looked back at owning my own business. So for 10 years, I was involved in managing that business in the social services sector. I was kind of like the chief operations officer doing all of the HR, financials, client service, contract management, all of that fun stuff. So I got to learn all about all the ins and outs of running your own business. Because I have a lot of varied interests. I also had a health coaching business at that time. I had a side hustle of like a product making business where I made like soap and lotion using natural products. So that was kind of a side story. So then after having three businesses, I was like, oh, I guess I'm kind of a serial entrepreneur. Like it kind of like fell into my lap. And I've taught on faculty at a local college. And then I got to a point after about 10 years of running my own business where I was like, you know what? I am really feeling called to helping other people live out their dreams and build their own online businesses. And so then I worked for one other coach for a bit of time, helping people go from 0 to 6 figures. And then I kind of fell into Kate's lap and learned about Team KK, and just reading the job description and learning about the company culture, I was like, yes, like this is something I want to commit to for the long term. And that's how I got on Team KK.
Wow, that's amazing. And you have experience in so many different areas, which I can only imagine is such value for our incubator clients because you've been there where they have. And so that's amazing, Rachel. I'm curious though. So you say that you were an entrepreneur for over 10 years and then you decided to become an intrapreneur.
Mm-hmm.
How does that happen? And I ask because I was also an entrepreneur. Now I'm an entrepreneur. So tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, that was a really interesting journey, and it's still ever evolving. But I guess I got to the point where I loved having my own business, and it really served me well in a lot of ways as I was having kids, and like the flexibility in some ways of having your own business was amazing. And I got to the point where, though, I started just wanting a career change, and I just felt like I wanted to work more in collaboration with people and not be the one that was responsible for everything. And so I heard of this term intrapreneur, and it really got me thinking, like, I think that's the next level for me. Like, I think I want to like join forces with other women who I can collaborate with and who I can really get behind their mission. And I want to bring all my unique experiences and experience as an entrepreneur into someone else's business and really work alongside them. So that's what the transition was like for me. Like I said, I think it's ever going, and there's pros and cons of owning your own business versus being an entrepreneur, but I just really love the shift that my career has taken in the last few years, and I can't wait to continue working with Kate and you and everyone else on Team KK.
Yeah, well, I can attest that we are so lucky to have you on Team KK, and our incubator clients are the luckiest as far as I'm concerned because you're amazing. And so what would you say is your zone of genius?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. I think my zone of genius is dependability, follow through. I like to say I'm like a loving drill sergeant or a loving taskmaster, because I do have a strong ability to like connect details. I'm really good at detail management. So like you can tell me that you're working on one thing, and then because of my detail orientedness, I can like connect that to something else that you maybe have submitted for a critique or maybe said on an incubator call. And then I can follow up. I can be lovingly direct. That's kind and then scheduling and keeping things on track are kind of my zones of genius. I think my strengths involve like being a timekeeper and always learning and being in personal development. But then I am really good at just like providing that like lovingly direct support to really hold you accountable and help you be the best version of yourself, the version that you want to be. That's where my zone of genius comes in.
Yeah, well, I think you're an amazing coach. Um, and so I was really impressed by that. And I do have to say that your job application and how thorough, and you could obviously tell that you put forth so much time into your answers and everything that you did, that I'm not at all surprised with how you are running the incubator, because it's such a telltale that you were going to be this like go-getter from the beginning. So I'm wondering, so you said you read the job description, you were like, yes. I know that in our job description, we always include our team values. So which of our team values do you embody the most? And I
So
can
the
remind you unless you know for sure.
Well, I know which one I embody the most, but if you want to share our values with our podcast listeners, I'm sure that they would love to hear exactly what Team KK stands for.
Yeah, so our values are: we are scrappy, growth-oriented achievers. We actually care. And I'm not going to get into all of it. We make mistakes. I love that one. We are always learning. We are boundary pushing, confident badasses who ask, why not us? And we take care of ourselves. And
So
last but not least, we leave the world a better place.
So I think I resonate with a lot of those, but the ones that stood out, or the one that stands out to me the most, is that we are always learning. I just approach the world with this spirit of learning and curiosity, and this belief that there's always room for self-improvement, and there's always room for more. We can always learn something from everybody. If you come at things with a spirit of curiosity, I think it just unlocks conversations. So that's the value that I really feel like I embody the most. And then I also love, I couldn't work for Team KK if I didn't love the boundary pushing badass value, because why not us? I use that kind of self-coaching with with myself all the time. Like, why not? So here, being able to see that spelled out in the job description, I immediately read it and I was like, yeah, I wasn't even looking for a job when I applied for this job. I just happened to see the job posting and I was like, this seems like it could be a really good fit. I'm going to give it a try. And part of it was like really reading those values and resonating with them.
So to that, I would say TANC. There are no coincidence. So obviously the universe was on our side because your eyes was able to see that job description, because you're perfect for this. So when you look at our company culture, right, what's one thing people might be surprised about Team KK or even Kate?
I think for me, it's like the radical candor and the like doing what you say and saying what you're doing. And that communication has been something that I was really looking for in a job. And I've been like so pleasantly surprised that like everything on Team KK is like exactly what you said it was. And the radical candor on this team and being able to express myself and get, bi-directional feedback is really important to me. And the leadership is something that surprised me about Kate. Like that didn't really show up as much in the interview process and in the job description, but Kate's leadership and the way she manages this team has just been like the cherry on top, like a really pleasant surprise in working here.
Ooh, I love that. Of course, I could not agree more. And I'd love to go a little deeper into that. Is there something particularly that once you joined Team K that you were like, wow, I've never done this before and I love it?
Let me think about that. I think what's coming to mind is I've never worked for a company where I felt so supported by my team and my direct supervisor, my boss. And so I think that that's one thing that that's what's coming to mind for me right now is and then even like something as simple as like on Team KK, we have like a whole channel in Slack dedicated to like stress support where like we all are humans. We bring our full humanity to work. So it's like you can't just compartmentalize if you're like having a bad day and you got in a fight with your partner or your kids are being horrible. Like yes, there's being professional, but also like being able to experience the full humanity while being on Team KK and having like an actual Slack channel where we could put in things that are happening to us. I didn't realize I kind of went off on a tangent there, but that's one thing like I've never had that in a job before that I just feel like that exemplifies like the leadership and the community and how well we work together as a team. So maybe that doesn't answer your question, but that's what came to mind.
No, it absolutely does. It reminds me of like things that we do in Team KK, like the 15-5 at the end of the week, where we actually, take 15 minutes to just kind of, write down what our week was like. And I think most people would think that that's all related to like our actual tasks, but it's so much more than that. And for me, I know that that's been like amazing. I've never worked in an environment where somebody actually asked questions like, what's your guiding mantra for next week? Or, what roadblocks were you facing this week? So I love that. So when you look at our team in general and, like if you were to give an advice to an entrepreneur that would be hiring for your position, like what's an advice that you would give someone hiring for a position similar to yours, which is program coordinator slash even marketing coordinator as well?
Yeah, my advice would be to have a really thorough application process and vet the person before making the hiring decision. So hire slow and fire fast is a term that's often used. That was actually one thing that I liked about Team KK's application process. I definitely would give advice of using a skills assessment, which is something that Team KK did when I got brought on. So you can actually see as best you can see someone's skills prior to even offering them an interview. That was something new to me. Typically, you would do an application and then there'd be an interview, but entering that skills test before the interview, I think just like slows down the process just a little bit and gives you a really good idea of what candidates are going to perform the best in the actual job duties. And then not being afraid to have a couple of rounds of interviews and get to know the interviewee as both a person and as the looking at the skills that they're going to be doing for you as well. So I guess that would be my advice is have a thorough application process, and kind of hand in hand with that is hire before you need to. So part of being able to have a thorough application process is being able to anticipate your hiring needs before it's like you're trying to put out a fire. And so that would be another kind of hand in hand piece of advice is like project ahead and hire before you absolutely need to so that you can take the time to hire thoroughly.
Yeah, that's amazing advice. And just to add to that, I would say, like, even if you're not ready to hire full time, bring on someone as a contractor part-time and then, grow into a full-time role. But even that part-time position can be a game changer in someone's business.
And then just to add one more thing to that, just as you're talking, just believing that the right person is out there, I think is a huge part of hiring. And so just having the right mindset as a business owner going into the hiring process, is like just be open to exploring possibilities and just believe in your heart that the right person is out there and that the right person will find you. I think those are huge, as you're getting your mindset around hiring.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, manifest it.
Exactly.
So the next round of questions is our lightning round questions, which you are familiar with. So let's get to it. So, what's your favorite way to make time for self-care?
I like anything where I can be outside. So that could be a walk around my neighborhood, that could be a short hike, that could be just sitting on my back patio. But being outside is, the best way that I make time for self care.
Wonderful. So, what is one tool or strategy that you use to help you with time management?
I love the concept of time boxing, where you just give yourself a short period of time to complete one task, stripping away all of the notifications, turning off your email, putting your phone in a box, turning off Slack notifications, and just giving yourself like 45 minutes to an hour to really focus on one task. Time boxing is something that I use a lot, and I find that it's really effective.
Love that. This is the first time I hear the term time boxing. Like
Yeah,
I've
it's a
heard like block scheduling, but I've never heard time boxing before.
Yeah, look it up. It's a time management tool. There's some more fancy. There's like now apps that will do it for you, like 25 minutes on, 5 minutes off. But like the concept is just called time boxing, and it's basically like, okay, I'm gonna like write these emails in the next 45 minutes, and you're just like literally putting yourself in a time box where you're not doing anything else and just getting that task done.
Okay. Sorry, Phoebe has made a guest appearance. She is Team KK's mascots now.
She's very adorable.
So, what's the most powerful business, mindset, or entrepreneurial book that you've ever read?
Yeah, I had a really hard time with this one because I've read a lot, but I had to come back to two books. Actually, neither one of them are like truly business, or entrepreneurial mindset books, but they just made such a difference in my own life. So the first one is What Color is Your Parachute by Richard Bowles. And that is just such a classic book on, getting to know yourself and exploring all of your options, including starting your own business. So I read that maybe like 15 years ago, and I've reread it, bought like, all the editions, and is a book that I refer to over and over. And then the second book that I just couldn't not mention is The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey. And again, just I think if you embody those 7 habits in your life, in your business, in with alignment and authenticity, you're just going to get so far in life. So those were the two books that I chose.
Oh, I love that. Did you know that the habits, 7 habits of highly effective people, they did one for kids. So they have like
Oh
a
no, I
box
didn't.
set. They do. They have like a box set and they do it for kids, like each habit. It's very
Ooh,
cute.
interesting.
Yeah.
Love that.
So
I'll
I
check
know
that out.
we go back to mindset. I know mindset is a huge thing that you actually coach inside the incubator. So with that, what's your favorite quote, mantra, or affirmation for when things get tough and you feel like giving up?
Yeah, so this is just like I didn't pull a quote from anybody else. This is just something I say to myself all the time. And this is actually where I also feel like maybe this is a little bit of my superpower, but like don't take it personal is like something that like I come back to over and over and over again. So don't take it personal. And then what's one thing you can do? So like always prioritizing action taking is something that's important to me. And so oftentimes I think you need to remember that, you know, as humans, we interact with a lot of people and everyone else has their own stuff. And so if you can go through life without taking things personally and focusing on the action that you can take, those are two mantras that I kind of use to help me get through tough times.
Those are great mantras. Wow. Don't take it personal. I
And I've
definitely
got that
have
like
to.
Monica song, in my head while saying that to myself too.
So the name of our podcast is Success with Soul. And it's also Success with Soul inside the incubator, right? So what does Success with Soul mean to you?
Success with soul to me means living authentically and in alignment with who I am and being able to enjoy my life to the fullest. So it's kind of general, but that's what it means to me.
Yeah, that's amazing. Rachel, this has been such a wonderful interview. And every time I get to know you a little more, I'm just like, wow, we're so lucky.
Well,
Incubator clients are so lucky. In general, you're amazing. And I tell you this all the time, but Team KK is better with you in it. So thank you so much for joining me today on this podcast. I'm so excited for our listeners to get to know you. And is there any last words?
well, I just thank you so much for having me on the podcast, Indira. And I think it's all about reciprocity, right? Like I feel so lucky to be on Team KK and to support our incubator clients and get to interact with you and Kate, JC and Olivia and everyone else on Team KK. So thank you so much for having me. I've really enjoyed myself today, and I can't wait to hear the rest of the interviews with other members of Team KK.
Yay, thanks so much. Okay, great. Bye.